Welcome back to the channel. Today we have first round Dom picks. NBA postseason is finally upon us. Let's kick it off, starting off on the east side with the 3-6 matchup between the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks. I'm taking the New York Knicks in 6. This is eerily similar to the New York Knicks Detroit Pistons matchup from a year ago. Ironically, it was also a 3-6 matchup. When I look at the Atlanta Hawks, I love how Jalen Johnson took another step this year. And Gilgeous-Alexander Walker, he raised his level of play as well. With those two young emerging stars, the Hawks could definitely take 2 games off of the Knicks. However, when it comes to reaching the next round, I stick with the New York Knicks because Jalen Brunson in the postseason is a different animal. Although the Knicks did not quite reach the expectations we have for them this year, this is a team that has plenty of weapons. You have Cat, OG, Mikal, and you have a ton of great role players who complement this team. And because of the level of depth and talent on this Knicks roster, I believe they'll avoid the upset from the Atlanta Hawks. Plus, keep in mind the X factor for this entire series will be Mitchell Robinson and his presence on the offensive boards. Atlanta does not have enough size to contain him. Moving over to the 2-7 matchup between the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers, I'm rolling with Boston in 5. Philly is not going to get manhandled this series. I actually think because of the weapons and the way they're coached, they'll be in a majority of these games throughout the course of the series. But being without Joel Embiid, your MVP, your go-to number 1 option against this Celtics team that is just clicking, has a ton of depth, have the role players in a Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Baylor Shilerman, and Keita as well. And I haven't even included the fact that Jaylen Brown is having an MVP caliber season. And Jason Tatum, less than a year post Achilles tear, is giving you everything you will want. It's going to be difficult for this version of the 76ers to upset Boston and reach the next round. Switching over to the 4-5 matchup between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors, I'm taking the Cavs in 6. I'm concerned about whether or not the Raptors have enough size down low. When you have Jakob Poeltl, who's been in and out of the lineup this year, and when you go to that bench unit, you don't have a bona fide true backup center. For the Cavs to be successful, not only in this series, but moving forward, they're going to have to get a lot out of this double big lineup with Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley. Because of the Raptors' tenacity on the defensive end, this series will be competitive, and I can see the Raptors taking 2 off of Cleveland. However, when you have a dynamic scorer like Donovan Mitchell and an elite facilitator in James Harden, your offense should be able to have stretches where it can take you home. And to wrap it up on the Eastern Conference side, we have the Pistons taking on the winner of the Magic Hornets 8th seed play-in game. Either way, I'm taking Detroit in a gentleman's sweep. The Pistons, for the entirety of the season, have played their asses off on both ends of the floor. Their biggest concern is whether or not they can get consistent offense outside of Cade Cunningham. However, when it comes to the first round, the Pistons have enough talent to overcome their offensive deficiencies. And the overwhelming reason for why I'm taking Detroit in 5 here in the first round is because of their defensive intensity. We saw in the final regular season matchup against Charlotte, the Pistons were able to flip a switch and the Hornets just weren't able to get buckets down the stretch in the 4th quarter. Or if they play a Magic team who offensively, we know their deficiencies as well. The Detroit Pistons defense will carry them predominantly. It will see if the offense is able to find its rhythm and creativity during the course of the first round. Moving over to the west side, let's start off with the 1-8 matchup. OKC against the winner of the 8th seed play-in game between Golden State and Phoenix. I'm rocking with OKC regardless. This is OKC's year to go back-to-back, and I believe they will show that here in the first round. Next up, we have the 4-5 matchup between the Lakers and Rockets. I'm taking Houston to win in 6, but let's be for real. If the Rockets are serious, they should handle business in a gentleman's sweep. The X factor for the Rockets will be the point guard position, and that's the biggest concern when it comes to the Rockets. It's their inability to get the ball to KD, get the ball to Sengun. Now, because they're great offensive players, especially with KD, they're going to find a way to get theirs. But in a grueling playoff series, you just want to see KD get some easier buckets. And I think it's going to be on Reece Shepherd. It's going to be on Amen Thompson to make sure they can facilitate the offense and allow their top scorers to get easier looks, and that should allow the Rockets offense to be a little more fluid. Looking over at the Lakers side, it's going to take a Herculean performance from LeBron James to get this team to the second round. It is expected that Austin Reeves and Luka will not be available for the first round. The role players are going to have to step up. I trust Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart, because they have experience. But outside of that, your Vanderbilts, DeAndre Ayton, Jackson Hayes, those guys are going to have to be monsters if they can have an impact on the defensive end, getting rebounds, protecting the rim, and on the offensive end, find a way to dive, get easy layups, get lobs. That gives the Lakers more of a chance to pull off this upset. Next up, we have the 2-7 matchup between the Spurs and Blazers. I'm going to give the Blazers some respect, so I'm taking San Antonio in 6. When you have someone who is capable of getting to the rim, knowing how to draw fouls, and Denny, that can bode well for your offensive unit and allow you to steal a couple of games. But the biggest elephant in the room is whether or not he's going to be able to do that going against a Wembanyama-led Spurs defense. I like the Donovan Clingan-Wembanyama matchup. They both provide size, outside shooting, and rim protection. The biggest thing to watch when it comes to Clingan is whether or not he's hitting his shots beyond the arc with consistency, because if Wemby is matched up with him, that's going to nullify what the Spurs like to do on the defensive end. They like to allow Wemby to guard non-shooting threats. That allows the Spurs defense to pack the paint while also being able to have the perimeter defenders to get after you. They're going to have to be able to knock down shots from the perimeter, because when Wembanyama is in the game, it will be difficult to get those looks at the rim. Ultimately, I will stick with the Spurs to win this series. I believe this is a great test for them in this young core in what is essentially their first playoff run together, first playoff series together at that. I trust that the inside presence of Wemby will be able to neutralize / slow down this Portland offense. And on the offensive side for the Spurs, they have enough perimeter shooting, and Devin Vassell, Johnson, Champagnie, those guys will be called upon to space out the floor, to allow Wembanyama to get his down low, and to allow the San Antonio Spurs team to get back to the second round. In the final series of the first round, we have the 3-6 matchup between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is going to be the best series of the first round, potentially all postseason long. These are two teams who have history. Last time they met up, they were in a 7-game series. One where we saw Minnesota take it to Denver in Denver. This is a tough series to predict because it's genuinely a coin flip. I can see Denver winning the series. When you have Jokic, who easily can win the MVP this year, averaging almost a triple-double, and arguably, this might have been Jamal Murray's best season. Also, we have to keep in mind, this Denver Nuggets team was not healthy for a large majority of the year. Aaron Gordon probably played just 30, maybe 40 games this year. Christian Brown missed some time in the middle. Obviously, Jokic, he missed about a month or so of action. This Denver Nuggets core, when healthy, are championship caliber. But they're going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who, despite coming into the postseason the last couple of years, and you're like, A little hesitant on whether or not you want to pick them to win a series in the first round at that. This is a squad that when the playoffs arrive, everybody on this team raises their stock. And in particular, I want to say playoff Ant is a thing. But Anthony Edwards, when the moment gets bigger, he is him. So when you look at both of these teams, they have core units that have been together for about 3 to 5 seasons. They have MVP caliber leaders. They have capable second and third options. They have guys who are coming off the bench who could give you quality minutes. What the series will come down to is the Denver Nuggets defense. Even in their championship run, their defense was spotty, but when they needed stops, they got them. And I can see this happening here and then go on to have a conference finals run or even go on to reach the NBA finals. However, I'm taking the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7. It's just something about Ant-Man in the postseason. I feel every time we have any hesitancy about Minnesota, they raise their level of play. That's going to do it for me. If you stuck all the way to the end of the video, much love as always. Make sure you hit that like button. Comment down below your predictions for the first round matchups. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one.